I never thought my biggest enemy would be a middle-aged woman with a clipboard and a god complex. But here we are. At first it was the little things. A passive-aggressive note about my mailbox. A violation notice for a single leaf on my driveway. A threatening letter because my car was parked in my own damn driveway. But then, Karen took it too far. One morning I walked outside and caught her trying to steal my car. And that's when I snapped. I punched her in the face, grabbed my keys and called the cops. What happened next? Well, let's just say it was the beginning of the end for HOA Karen. Before we dive in, let me know, where are you watching this from? Tell in the comments. It was a quiet morning in the neighborhood. The kind where birds chirped, coffee brewed, and the only pressing matter was deciding whether to mow the lawn now or later. I had just settled into my porch chair, enjoying the calm, when I spotted her. Clipboard in hand, lips pursed like she had sucked on a lemon, and eyes scanning the street like a security drone. Karen. She wasn't just any HOA member. No, Karen had appointed herself the HOA. The judge, jury, and executioner of all things suburban compliance. She moved through the neighborhood with the kind of self-importance usually reserved for world leaders, making sure no blade of grass stood taller than her personal standards. And today she had set her sights on me. "Excuse me," she called, marching up my driveway with the confidence of someone who had never been told no in her life. "You do realize that mailbox is 3 inches taller than regulation?" I blinked. "What? Your mailbox? 3 inches too tall." I measured. "You measured my mailbox?" She nodded, utterly serious. "This is a violation. It disrupts the uniform aesthetic of the community. You'll need to correct it by the end of the week, or I'll have to issue a formal complaint." I glanced around. Every other mailbox on the street looked exactly the same height as mine. I opened my mouth to argue but stopped myself. I had heard the horror stories. The more you fought Karen, the more she dug in. "Got it," I said instead, hoping that would be enough to send her scurrying off to harass someone else. She lingered, scanning my property with predatory eyes. "Also, your car is parked too close to the curb. It should be at least 4 feet away. It's in my driveway." She nodded sagely, as if she had just imparted divine wisdom. "Exactly. 4 feet minimum from the curb." I exhaled slowly, clenching my jaw. "I'll look into that." Karen gave me a smug nod before spinning on her heel and marching off, clipboard at the ready, likely hunting down her next victim. I should have let it go. Should have brushed it off as just another day living in an HOA-controlled neighborhood. But this was only the beginning. Karen wasn't done with me. Not by a long shot. A few days passed and I convinced myself that maybe, just maybe, Karen had gotten her fix of suburban tyranny elsewhere. Maybe some poor soul had dared to leave their trash cans out an hour past pickup time, and she was too busy drafting a 20-page complaint to bother me anymore. I was wrong. The first sign that I was now public enemy number 1 in Karen's personal war on violations came in the form of a bright orange notice taped to my front door. Notice of infraction. Violation. Unauthorized garden decor. Fine. Pending HOA review. Deadline for compliance. Immediately. I frowned. Unauthorized decor? What the hell did that even mean? Then I saw it. My crime against the neighborhood. A single garden gnome. Not an army of them. Not a grotesque or offensive one. Just a simple, smiling gnome standing guard by my front steps, minding its own business. I stared at the notice, then at the gnome, then back at the notice. Was this real life? Karen, of course, had impeccable timing. She was already power-walking toward me, clipboard clutched like it contained the nuclear codes. "Ah, I see you've received the notice," she said, the fake sweetness in her voice barely covering the satisfaction in her eyes. "You mean the one about my gnome?" "Yes." She nodded, completely serious. HOA regulations clearly state that all front yard decorations must be pre-approved for neighborhood uniformity. "Your gnome is not approved." I looked at the gnome. "He seems pretty harmless to me." "It disrupts the aesthetic flow of the community." "Aesthetic flow?" Karen placed a hand on her hip. "If we allow one person to display an unapproved item, then everyone will. Today it's a gnome. Tomorrow it's flamingos. Next thing you know, someone's got a," she shuddered, "seasonal wreath on their door off-season." I resisted the urge to laugh. "Look, I'm not removing my gnome," I said. "If the HOA actually has a problem, they can send me something official." Her eyes flashed. "You'll regret that decision." I raised an eyebrow. Over a garden gnome? You'll see. And just like that she spun on her heel and marched away, no doubt planning her next move. At that moment I should have known, I wasn't just dealing with a nosy HOA Karen. I was dealing with a full-blown suburban dictator on a power trip. I wasn't about to let Karen's petty tyranny ruin my life, but I also knew that the best way to deal with people like her wasn't through direct confrontation. It was through subtle, calculated retaliation. The first order of business? The gnome stays. I even gave him a name, Sir Gnomington III, Protector of the Lawn. If I was going to be accused of breaking the so-called uniformity rules, I might as well embrace it. A few days later, I saw Karen standing at the edge of my property, arms crossed, glaring at Sir Gnomington like he had personally insulted her entire bloodline. "You're still in violation," she said stiffly. I shrugged. I reviewed the HOA guidelines. Nowhere does it explicitly state that gnomes are prohibited. She narrowed her eyes. It falls under the unapproved lawn decor clause. Does that clause specify gnomes? She hesitated. No, but then I'd like to formally challenge the violation. Her face twitched. You can't challenge a violation. Oh, but I can. I pulled out my phone, pretending to read from an email that didn't exist. HOA regulations say that any dispute regarding infractions must be reviewed by the board. I'll be happy to present my case at the next meeting. She looked as if she had just swallowed a lemon whole. I smiled. Round 1, me. But I wasn't done yet. If Karen wanted to play the HOA rulebook game, I'd play right back. First, I started complying with her ridiculous demands in the most obnoxious ways possible. Mailbox height issue? I attached a tiny flag to the top of it, bringing it exactly within her regulation limits. Car too close to the curb? I started parking it dead center in my driveway with a measuring tape on display to prove it was regulation approved. Yard decor disrupting aesthetic flow? I printed out the HOA guidelines and placed them in a weatherproof frame in my front yard. Now my lawn was decorated with the rules themselves. Karen was fuming. She doubled down, sending more notices, escalating to threats of fines. But every single time I found loopholes. Then just for fun I started pushing the limits. One night I moved Sir Gnomington to different locations around my yard. Sometimes right by the sidewalk, sometimes peeking out from the bushes, other times sitting in a lawn chair holding a tiny sign that read, "He approved?" I swear Karen started losing sleep over this. One morning I caught her measuring my grass with a ruler. I opened my window. "Morning, Karen. Everything up to code." She stormed off without answering. The best part? My neighbors were loving it. People started adding their own gnomes. Soon a few garden flamingos popped up. Then a garden troll. Then a life-sized plastic skeleton, dressed like a crossing guard, holding an HOA rulebook. Karen lost it. And just like that, the neighborhood had turned into a full-on rebellion. But Karen wasn't giving up yet. No, she was about to take things to the next level. The first sign that Karen was losing control wasn't her usual glares or passive-aggressive notices. It was the way the neighborhood started fighting back. It started small. Tom, my next-door neighbor, put googly eyes on his mailbox. She tried to fine me for altering the neighborhood aesthetic, he whispered over the fence. I told her I'd remove them when she provided written proof that googly eyes were a violation. Then Sarah from down the street added a gnome army, 10 of them, all arranged in battle formation, complete with little plastic swords. She left me a violation notice, Sarah said, grinning. So I added more. It spread like wildfire. The Johnsons installed a pink plastic flamingo dressed as a knight. The Petersons put up a massive LED sign that just said Karen's watching. Someone, no one admitted to it, placed a fake speed limit sign that read 5.1 miles per hour, enforced by HOA Karen. Karen was losing her mind. She doubled down. She called an emergency HOA meeting, demanding that all unauthorized decorations be removed. The problem? She had created a monster. The entire neighborhood showed up in protest. And I do mean everyone. People brought lawn chairs, popcorn, and even signs. Free the gnomes. We demand mailbox equality. No fun. No way. Karen stood at the front, clutching her clipboard like it was a life raft. This is a disgrace, she shrieked. You people are undermining the rules that keep our community beautiful. Tom raised a hand. Karen, Last week you tried to find me because my cat was sitting in my front yard. It was trespassing, she snapped. On my own property? Murmurs of laughter and outrage rippled through the crowd. Sarah folded her arms. Karen, are you really saying that a gnome is a bigger problem than your husband's boat sitting in the driveway for the last 2 months? Karen turned red. That's different. The HOA approved it. Did they? I asked. Or did you just decide it didn't count as a violation? She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned to the HOA president. Are you going to let this happen? We need to enforce order. The HOA president, a mild-mannered retiree named Bob, cleared his throat. Well, Karen, there's been, a lot of concerns about how you've been handling things. You mean doing my job? Bob sighed. We will be reviewing some of your recent actions. Karen looked around, realizing she was outnumbered. The neighborhood was done being bullied. She had pushed too hard and now the entire community had turned against her. But she wasn't finished yet. No, Karen was about to make her biggest mistake yet. The neighborhood rebellion had Karen teetering on the edge, but she still clung to whatever imaginary power she had left. The gnome army, the HOA meeting disaster, and the mounting pressure from fed-up neighbors had clearly rattled her, but instead of backing down, she snapped. And that's when she went too far. It started with fake violations. One morning, I woke up to 6 new notices taped to my door. Illegal vehicle storage. My car was parked in my driveway. Where else was I supposed to put it? Unapproved color scheme. My house was the exact same color it had been for years, beige just like the rest of the neighborhood. Excessive lawn clutter. Sir Gnomington 3, my single garden gnome, still stood proudly in the same spot. She wasn't even pretending to be subtle anymore. But here's the thing about people on a power trip. They don't know when to stop. The next time I saw Karen, she wasn't just holding her clipboard. She was standing in my driveway. And she was messing with my car. I stepped outside, still groggy from sleep, and immediately froze. Karen was pulling on my car door handle. For a split second, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. Then I snapped out of it. Hey. She jumped back, but instead of looking guilty, she crossed her arms. You are in clear violation of HOA parking regulations, she said as if she hadn't just been trying to open my car door. I blinked. Excuse me. Your vehicle is parked too close to the curb. I looked at my car. It was perfectly within my driveway. I looked at her. That gives you the right to break into my car? Karen scoffed. I was simply attempting to move it to an HOA-compliant position. My jaw tightened. You were attempting to steal my damn car. She bristled. Excuse me. That is slander. I was only enforcing the rules. I took a step forward. Karen, I said slowly, if you touch my car again, you're going to have a bigger problem than HOA fines. She rolled her eyes. Don't be ridiculous, she huffed. I was just. And then she reached for my keys. I didn't think. I reacted. I swung my fist straight into her nose. She screamed. She stumbled backward, clutching her face. You hit me. You tried to steal my C. I shot back. The noise must have carried because neighbors started pouring out of their houses. Tom, Sarah, the Petersons. Even Bob, the HOA president, shuffled outside, squinting like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Karen immediately switched tactics. She collapsed onto my driveway like she was in a damn soap opera. He assaulted me, she shrieked. Call the police. Oh, don't worry, I said, already pulling out my phone. I'm calling them right now. Her face went pale. The neighbors surrounded us. Tom folded his arms. I saw the whole thing. You tried to steal his car, Karen. Sarah nodded. Yep. You grabbed for his keys. That's attempted grand theft auto, isn't it? One of the Peterson kids piped up. Karen gasped. You little brat. The HOA president rubbed his temples. Karen, what the hell is wrong with you? He hit me, she shrieked again. And that's when the cops showed up. Karen immediately switched gears, turning on the waterworks. Officer. This man attacked me. Actually, I interrupted, I have a Ring doorbell. Recorded everything. Karen froze. One of the cops raised an eyebrow. You do? Sure do. I pulled up the footage on my phone, turned the volume up and hit play. The video showed everything. Karen trying to break into my car. Me telling her to stop. Her reaching for my keys. and me defending myself. The second the video ended, the cop turned to Karen. "Ma'am," he said, "we're going to have to ask you to come with us." Karen's mouth fell open. "What?" "You attempted to enter a private vehicle without consent," he continued. "And multiple witnesses confirm you grabbed for the owner's keys. That's attempted theft." Karen sputtered. Then she turned to Bob, the HOA president. "Do something." Bob adjusted his glasses. "Karen, you've been a massive pain in the ass for years. You're on your own." The neighbors cheered. Karen wailed as the cops cuffed her. And just like that, her reign of terror was over. Karen's wailing could probably be heard from 3 streets over as the cops guided her to the squad car. She kept twisting around, desperately trying to find someone, anyone, who would come to her defense. No one did. The moment she was cuffed, the neighborhood erupted into applause. Sarah pulled out her phone and whispered, "This is going on next door immediately." Tom let out a loud, satisfied sigh. "Finally. Feels like a dark cloud has been lifted." I just stood there, arms crossed, watching the downfall of the HOA's most infamous tyrant. And the best part? This wasn't just about the cops taking Karen away for attempted car theft. No, her real punishment was yet to come. The HOA fallout was brutal. Bob, the HOA president, wasted zero time after Karen's arrest. At the next meeting, one she was not invited to, he made it official. Karen was fired from her self-appointed role as the enforcer of the HOA. All of her bogus violation notices, the fines she tried to impose, refunded. Her husband's illegally parked boat, finally ticketed. It turns out Karen had been breaking more HOA rules than she had been enforcing. Her backyard fence was 3 feet too high. Her front garden had unapproved plants. Her security lights violated neighborhood brightness limits. The neighborhood delighted in watching Karen get served her own violation notices. She tried to fight it, of course. Claimed it was all a conspiracy against her. But with no allies left, Karen was powerless. And then came the final blow. With charges against her for attempted vehicle theft and trespassing, Karen and her husband quietly sold their house and moved away. Just like that, she was gone. The first morning after she left, something felt different, lighter, peaceful. I stepped outside, took a deep breath, and smiled. The air was fresher. The street was quieter. And most importantly, Sir Nomington 3 still stood proudly in my yard. Karen was gone. And the neighborhood had never been happier. A week after Karen's grand departure, the neighborhood was a different place. People started leaving their trash cans out a little longer without fear. Mailboxes stood proudly at varying heights. The gnome army remained untouched. For the first time in years, nobody was peeking out their windows in fear of a clipboard-wielding menace waiting to issue them a fine for existing incorrectly. Tom threw a Karen-free block party. It wasn't official, of course. Karen had made sure that any sort of public gathering required 5 layers of HOA approval. But with her gone, we didn't just throw a party. We went all out. Grills lined the street, music played, and someone, I still don't know who, set off fireworks. Sarah even made custom shirts that read, "I survived the reign of Karen." And I made one final small addition to my yard. A brand new gnome. This one was special. Sir Nomington 3 now had a friend. A tiny, smug-looking gnome holding a miniature clipboard. I named him Little Karen. Because at the end of the day, there's one simple truth about HOA tyrants like her. They come. They cause chaos. They throw their power around. But eventually, karma always wins. What do you think happened to Karen after she moved away? Do you think she started terrorizing a new neighborhood? What's the pettiest revenge you've ever gotten on an annoying neighbor? Who do you think is worse? HOA Karens or next-door app drama kings and queens? How would you celebrate if the HOA Karen in your neighborhood finally moved away? If you loved seeing Karen get what she deserved, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more wild HOA and entitled people stories. Got your own HOA horror story? Drop it in the comments. I might feature it in a future video. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next epic tale of entitled people getting exactly what they deserve. More HOA drama coming soon. Stay tuned.